It is a warm welcome to you viewers. Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of Crime Watch, a program brought to you by the Zimbabwe Public Police to highlight to you our roles and operations and also engage with you members of the public. My name is Onesisa Sibanda. We start this week's episode in Midlands Province. Detectives in Gweru recovered 2 vehicles and also managed to account for the robbers. The acting officer in charge, CID Gweru, takes us through these 2 cases.
Recently, we apprehended a 30-year-old man by the name Lalo Nasi for theft of a motor vehicle. He stole the vehicle at the light industrial area in Gweru, where the complainant had left the vehicle unattended with the keys on the ignition. The accused person took advantage of that situation and got into the vehicle and drove it away. We made thorough investigations, which led to the arrest of the accused person, who was intercepted at a roadblock along Mashingombalabala Road. The vehicle was recovered and taken to CID Gweru, and it is being held as an exhibit. We continuously emphasize the importance of always locking vehicles upon disembarking. Never leave car engine running or keys on the ignition. Funds permitting, vehicle owners should install alarms that can alert them should anyone tamper with their vehicles. We have since taken the accused person to court and he was remanded in custody awaiting trial.
Mota yangu yanga yabiwa mshure mekuti ndaisiya makeys pa ignition. Ndobva ndamhanya mushopu mandaipinda. Ndobva ndadzoka pasina kana 10 minutes ndikawana mota pasina. Yakatozorikaviwa neinformation yataiwana chibatsira nemapurisa neCID Gweru. Ndinonzwa kufara chaizvo neveCID Gweru nemarikavhiri akaita mota. Ndinoona sengoti basa racho rakafamba zvakanaka.
In another case, we also managed to apprehend 3 robbers who robbed the complainant of this vehicle and his cell phone and 3,000 Zimbabwean dollars. The 3 criminals are Sylvester Chauke, aged 27 years, Manford Shindeka, aged 21 years, and Charles Chipara, aged 30 years. The circumstances are that the 3 accused persons hired the complainant as a taxi. They toured around Gweru town. As they were driving towards Woodlands, the accused persons asked to relieve themselves. The car stopped and the 2 of the accused persons were seated at the back, dragged the complainant out of the vehicle and they drove off. When we received the report, we started carrying out investigations and a tip-off was received to the effect that the robbed vehicle was being sold at a car breaker's garage in Harare. We then communicated with our sister department in Harare, who then managed to apprehend the criminals and recover the vehicle.
Still in Midlands, Gweru Rural Police policing area also includes a place called Somapula, where farmers own a lot of cattle. This means that strict measures should be put in place in order to protect their livestock. Officer in charge crime Gweru Rural gives us more on this story.
We have discovered that in Somapula area, farmers are losing a lot of cattle, thereby increasing the cases of stock theft. So stock theft in Somapula area is so rampant. We now take this opportunity to urge the farmers to take cattle branding seriously, whereby they have to brand their cattle using some personal brands. So by proper branding, this will assist in the location of those cattle once they are recovered. We have discovered that the farmers stay away from the farms for a long period of time without proper checking or conducting some stock checks. So we urge the farmers to desist from this, what they call cell phone farming. They should make some frequent checks on their farms, especially if possible on weekly basis, so that they will manage to account for their stock, and that will reduce the cases of stock theft.
The station recently nabbed a cattle rustler and recovered a lot of cattle.
Recently, there were 2 boys who went to an area called Roville, whereby they stole 2 big oxen from the cattle pen. Then they drove the cattle for a distance of about 25 kilometers, and then they tried to look for some buyers. The police liaised with some known buyers of cattle. Then those buyers of cattle worked together with the police and gave information that they had been approached by someone who was intending to sell some cattle. These cattle buyers continued cooperating with the police till they went to the place whereby the accused persons were hiding their cattle, intending to sell them. The accused persons are two male adults, Tinashe Chisweto and Naljo Machipisa, who reside in a treetop area which falls under Somabula in Midlands province.
On that note, we take a short break. Join us in the second segment. Welcome to the second segment of Crime Watch. Drinking and driving is one of the major causes of road traffic accidents. The ZRP Traffic Department has introduced instant breathalyzer tests to drivers at police checkpoints.
We are now capable of using a breathalyzer, a machine that can detect alcohol content in the body. So it's a warning to the drivers out there who are driving under the influence of alcohol. The process is very short to detect alcohol content in your body. If you found that we have got 0.038 alcohol content in your body, you will be arrested for drinking and driving and will be brought to court.
When a motorist approaches a traffic checkpoint, we normally ask the motorist to pull off the road. So if we suspect the driver is drunk, we instruct the driver to stand 50 centimeters from a police officer. We do this so that we can detect the concentration of alcohol from the driver.
When police officers give signals at road intersections, they override traffic lights and their instructions should be followed accordingly. Crime Watch took a tour of Harare's Central Business District's intersections to check on the decongestion exercise and monitor motorists' adherence to given instructions.
We deploy police officers, traffic police officers at various intersections to enable us to decongest the area. This has come up because the volume of traffic in the CBD usually is very high during that period, and also our intersections, they are usually not able to cope with these high volumes of traffic. And when we put police officers there, we usually work hand in glove with the city council personnel as well. When we put police officers at intersections, they are the ones now who now take control of the intersection. That means that even if the lights are working, the traffic lights are working, it is prudent that motorists now follow what the police officers at the intersections are directing them to do. We just urge all motorists to abide by the police signs and the police rules so that at least there is a constant flow of traffic out of the CBD. In the CBD area, we are also arresting all those traffic offenders who disobey traffic rules and regulations. And we also have an ongoing operation as we speak, that one which is urging all motorists to be good drivers, to show good conduct to others. And you show good conduct by obeying traffic rules. So if you are found on the wrong side of the law, we are not hesitating, we are arresting and we let the law take its course.
The message is simple and clear. Let us follow police officers' instructions so that we do not waste time locked at intersections. The job we are doing is meant to promote safe travel that is free from traffic jams or road accidents. It's for your own good.
We had been celebrating Culture Week, Ubuntu Betu as Africans, our roots in what we are about. On this week's traffic safety segment, We want to remind each other of our road safety culture, the basics in what we are supposed to do in order to be safe on the road. We have in the studio Lucy Kuwandira from Traffic Safety Council of Zimbabwe. Good day, how are you?
Thank you, how are you?
What do we mean by passenger safety?
Passenger safety, those are the road rules, road regulations that govern the roads for passengers, drivers, and all road users. And passengers are part of road users. So today we'll talk about passengers on motorcycle, passengers on a car, and passengers on a truck or a lorry.
Okay. Highlight to us what a passenger traveling by a small car should do.
So when you're traveling by a small car, you make sure that you board the car whilst on a bus stop or a designated place. So you are at a pavement, you wait until the car comes where you are at the pavement, and then you get into the car. When you get into the car, you fasten your seatbelt, and then you travel. You do not distract the driver.
Talking about distracting the driver, what are some of the things that a passenger can do to distract the driver?
I'm sure you've noticed there are people who even talk to the driver unnecessarily. So we are saying do not talk to the driver unnecessarily. Do not poke or put on high volume. That will distract the driver. Allow the driver to focus on driving because we want you to be safe. We want you to get to your destination safe.
Highlight to us what a passenger should and should not do.
All right, so if you get into your car, you make sure that you fasten your seatbelt. That's the first thing you do. You open the door, you get into the car, you fasten the seatbelt. And then when you are there, you are focusing on getting to where you want to go, which means that you don't talk to the driver unnecessarily. You don't distract the driver. And also, there are people, I'm sure you've noticed, there are people who throw litter outside. We are saying that is bad for our environment. That litter can also affect the next car or the next person who's going to use the roads. So avoid throwing litter out of the car, and then when you want to throw litter, you make sure you keep it and then put it in the bin. So for example, when you have boarded a lorry, we are saying do not have that behavior. I'm sure you've noticed it, where people shout even obscenities. So that is bad behavior. It affects other road users because if you're a passenger, you're not the only road user. There are other people who are also using the roads that should also be guarded, that should also be protected so that we don't have road crashes. Also, sit right on the floor. Do not stand because when you stand, you lose balance. If the car veers off the road or even if the driver stomps on emergency brake. So you sit with your back against the cab. When you've boarded a truck, make sure you don't sit on those boards because those are not sitting areas. If anything, you fall off those boards. So avoid sitting on the boards. Make sure you sit right on the floor. Do not have your legs dangling outside the truck because you're exposing yourself to danger.
What safety measures are recommended for those traveling on motorcycles?
So when traveling on a motorcycle, make sure that you have protective gear. The protective gear we're talking about is a helmet, boots, or even a leather jacket. These protect you in the event that you incur or you are involved in a road crash. Your body will be protected. And then when you're traveling and then you're about to reach a curve, you lean towards the driver so that you don't fall off the motorcycle. For cyclists, we recommend that they wear protective gear. That way they are protected in the event of falling off the bicycle or any form of road crash. Also, a bicycle is not created to have a passenger on it. A bicycle should have one person, and that person is the one cycling. Several times passengers contribute to the occurrence of road crashes, so we encourage all road users to exercise caution on the road and practice good behavior.
As we come to the end of the Culture Week, it is our responsibility to reduce road carnage. Play your part and become a road safety champion. Join us in the third and final segment. We're in the third and final segment of Crime Watch. CID Drugs and Narcotics have made numerous arrests on drug peddlers and will continue to do so. CID Drugs and Narcotics Detective Sergeant Neti Kundizeza tells us more.
As CID Drugs and Narcotics, we continue to fight against illicit drug trafficking and drug and substance abuse as a way of protecting the youth from self-demise. Remember, these youths are the future of this nation. In a bid to fight this cancer of drug and substance abuse, CID Drugs and Narcotics has arrested at least 250 people over a period of 2 weeks throughout the country. We have seized more than 1 kilogram of crystal meth in Dulibadzimu Bait Bridge. We have arrested a 23-year-old woman and a 31-year-old man for possession of 500 grams of crystal meth. In Highfield, Harare, we have arrested a 31-year-old man for possession of 100 grams of crystal meth as well. And also in Domboshava, we have arrested a 28-year-old man for possession of 63 grams of crystal meth. The accused persons have since appeared before the courts and are remanded in custody. We have also seized more than 10 kgs of dagga throughout the country, where in Sakuva Mtare, we have arrested a 40-year-old man for possession of 3.8 kgs of dagga, and in Harare Whitecliff, we have arrested a 45-year-old man for possession of 1 kg of dagga, just to mention a few. CID Drugs and Narcotics has also carried out raids in Mbare, Harare, where more than 100 people were arrested for drug abuse and also drug trafficking cases.
Theft and vandalism of ZESA Holdings infrastructure is a case for concern, and police will hunt down the criminals and bring them to book.
As ZRP Zimba, we are concerned with criminals who are into theft and vandalism of infrastructure and public utilities. In a recent case, we had some criminals who came all the way from Harare wanting to steal ZESA infrastructure. These criminals were conniving with one who stays in that area, which is Zoa area, our area of policing. These criminals managed to dismantle 3 transformers from the Zoa area and loaded them in their vehicle. They then set off for Harare. Unfortunately, we received a tip-off from members of the public. We quickly reacted and mounted a roadblock where we managed to intercept the criminals. On approaching the roadblock, the criminals were signaled to stop, but they wanted to evade the roadblock. 3 warning shots were fired, resulting in the criminals being arrested. On the roadblock site, we managed to arrest 3 criminals, who then assisted us to arrest their 4th accomplice. We managed to recover all the ZESA stolen infrastructure, including the transformers. The 4 accused persons were taken to Shinoe Magistrate Court, and their case is still pending at the courts. As police, we would like to thank members of the public for supplying us with this vital information, which assisted us to arrest these criminals in these 2 different cases.
Still in Zimba, a swift reaction by the police led to the recovery of borehole pipes belonging to Zimba Rural District Council.
In another case, we had criminals who came all the way from Harare and invaded Zimba Rural District Council offices. They then manhandled the guard. They ransacked the Zimba Rural District Council institution. They managed to load bore equipment and pipes into their UD7-ton truck and sped off. We were quickly alerted and immediately gave chase along the Murombe-Norton Road. We eventually caught up with them after firing some warning shots because they were continuing with their effort to evade the arrest. So we managed to arrest 8 of the criminals and recovered all the stolen property. We then took the 8 accused persons to court, where their case is still pending. In these 2 cases, we find that these 2 gangs of criminals tried to evade their arrest even after warning shots were fired. As police, we are appealing to members of the public to comply with given police instructions and signals to avoid the use of minimum force.
Takasanganawo nedambudziko rekuti tatsvaga rubatsiro kuhurumende. Hurumende yasvipira yatipa mari devolution. Takatenga mapipe ekuti tiise mvura kuvanhu emabhohos ezvibhorani, asi tinoona pakati pekuti vanhu vese vari kufara tiri kupemberera kouya nyanya dzinouya dzotora zvinhu zviya dzouya nerori kubva kuHarare rinotakura those 300 borehole fittings. Toda kutenda zvikuru kubata kwakaita mapurisa emuno Mazvimba vachibatana neveCrime Consultative Forum vakakwanisa kuti tikwanise kubata mbavha idzi dzatoinda kuti mapaipi edu akawanikwa mazhinji acho ose akawanikwa.
Before we come to the end of this week's episode, here are some people on the police wanted list. ZRP Mutare Central is looking for Gift Zimunya of house number 392, area 14, Dangamvura, Mutare, for a case of rape. ZRP Zaka is looking for Cledman Marufu, age 35, of Zibowa Village, Chief Nema Zaka, for a case of murder. Lastly, Simbarashe Kanda of Ruchasi Village, Chief Bota Zaka, is wanted by ZRP Zaka for a case of murder. Anyone with information that may help in the location of any of these people can contact any nearest police station or contact us on the following details. Our complaints desk number is 0242 703 631. Visit our website www.zrp.gov.zw or email us on feedback@zrp.gov.zw. You can also link with us on our Twitter handle @PoliceZimbabwe or our Facebook page Zimbabwe Republic Police. If you miss any of our Crime Watch episodes, you can watch them on our YouTube channel Zimbabwe Republic Police. This brings us to the end of this week's episode. From me, Onesisa Sibanda, and the crew behind the scenes, pleasant viewing.